How are we doing, guys? Another pair of beauties here for you. Now, I'm the first one to admit it, white is not my favourite colour. It never has been when it comes to vinyl wraps. But it wasn't until the graphics were installed that I started to stand back and go, do you know what? They're starting to grow on me a bit, and they're actually really nice. So, yeah, what we've got with these is it's 3M, it's frozen vanilla. It's a satin vinyl wrap by 3M. Under the light, you can see there's like a slight flake in between it, a nice like hazy satin sheen. And it all goes together really well. I went for gloss black graphics just to make everything pop. And I'm glad we have. It just looks very, very nice. We've got brand new pitch trims. The actual internals of the trim that's been wrapped has been hand wrapped and installed before the trim was installed. So that's a perfect fit with no nasty edges or anything. We've got the original pitch slider units inside these as well, because the slider units are in beautiful working condition. So what I basically said was, we'll get some new houses, some new housings even for each slider. That way you've got fresh factory grease on brand new housings, brand new trims. Then we'll take the old carbon trap boards out for the Mark 5s, which are dash-free sliders, clean them up, re-lubricate, install, recalibrate, and the end result is your original sliders with brand new housings and stems that feel beautiful when you touch them. So they feel like new, and obviously being cleaned up, getting rid of any debris, dirt, etc. underneath them makes a big difference too. That's only the only thing really to do if they are still in fully working order. If they have any dead spots, if they drift and there's some noticeable issues with them, then obviously you're best just replace the sliders full stop. But these needed just rebuilding, and the housings is all we really required. These decks in general were in minty fresh condition, and I'm not going to lie, I did plead with my customer not to wrap these. As you know, I'm very much, if they're in beautiful condition, don't touch them. But he was adamant he wanted them wrapped. They were originally going to be completed in the shadow black camouflage wrap, which would have looked good anyway. They always look good on Mark 5s or on any turntable. Very, very popular wrap indeed. But then changed his mind and went for this wrap instead. And I'm quite glad he did. It's something a little bit different. And with the rest of you, if you've got a deck stand that's quite clean and clear and everything else is all set up clean and clear, just something a bit different. But either way, we've got white LEDs all over. The outputs of the LEDs are not overly bright. They've all been limited to the output so that you can stand over the top and they're not going to blind you. 3345 and pitch is exactly the same in that respect. So you can stand over the top and you can see it by the camera when I do this. No nasty shine on the camera. Perfect. Pop-ups on these as standard actually do have LEDs. They have like a sunshine yellow, or not, almost between a sunshine yellow and a warm white. It's very similar. So just took out the LED there, put a high quality LED in its place in a white, which obviously matches the rest of these LEDs. Makes it all nice and clean and clear. Rebuilt the arm assembly. Again, the arm assemblies on both of these turntables are in gorgeous condition. Everything's gone together perfectly. Bearings on these are fully working. The pivots have been deep cleaned and machine polished. Lovely jubbly. Sockets on the ends of the tone arms, as you can see, machine polished, nice and shiny. Platters have been machine polished as well, and obviously hand finished. That's what she said. Hand polished and hand machined. Sorry, yeah, well, yeah, it's technically hand polished and hand machined because you've got to use your hands on the machine. So, yeah, I'm right there. Yep, new speed selection switches in the 33 and 45. Platters have also been wrapped on these, as you can see. If you're wondering where that little dot there is, there's actually 3 of them. You just can't see because of the angle. That's that. Obviously, that's machine cut. That's not hand cut, because a lot of people that try and hand cut these will end up gouging into the platters, and they look horrific, so do not attempt it. But as always with these wraps, all cut by hand minus the platter. So everything is cut using surgical blade, which is Swan Morton surgical blades, and if you slip or don't take care when using them, you are going to end up in A&E. And trust me, I've come very, very close to doing this, and I've been wrapping for a very, very, very long time. Everything around all the edges is all machine cut. 45 adapter is also machine polished as well. So anything that can be polished has been polished. But absolutely beautiful condition. New RCA cables as well. New grounding cables. Got the original power cables as they were beautiful condition. And they are literally ready to rock as we speak. So my customers will be very happy with these. Moving on from these as well, we've got the other 4 turntables here that I briefly showed you. So these are all now bagged up and ready to go. Final check over and clean up of all 4 of these. So we've got the turntable with the brand new plinth. We've got the turntable with the good condition plinth, which is the one that I said had the few marks on it. That actually came out really nice indeed. New arm on that one at the end as well. We then got the 21210 Mark IIs, which are in lovely condition. Everything's all ready to rock and roll. And also you get your worksheet, your tech list for your work. Everything's all included for peace of mind. The other thing I've completed with this particular pair, as you'll probably notice, is they're a pair of Mark Vs and they've got dust covers on them. So these turntables, as standard with the Mark Vs, you actually have rubberized caps that fit on the ends of where the hinges are on the backs, as you can see. And you literally just take them off, you put hinges in their place, you screw them in. And you have to modify the back of the plate slightly on the back of the Mark Vs just to enable you to be able to install the threaded nuts and the screws for the back plates, so that you can actually install sockets. So that's exactly what I've done. We've installed sockets on these and installed the hinges to help my customer out. So he's now got a set of a pair of dust covers along with, you know, new sockets and hinges. So they're all installed as well. So he can now just flip these down, you know, and he's now got a pair of dust covers, which is a bit easier. I mean, you can actually, I know quite a few DJs that just lift the dust covers up and still use the decks with dust covers up. And I used to be guilty of this as well. I never used to take the sockets or anything off. I used to actually flip them up like when I really couldn't bother to take them off. But it's just putting them somewhere. And this is why the Mark Vs obviously had the removable section where you could just lift it up. But it become more of a problem because obviously putting these somewhere, if you've got a small room and nowhere really to put your dust covers, then once you've lifted them off to use them, where are you going to put them? And a lot of DJs used to leave these back in the original boxes and just put felt covers over the top. Then deck savers come into play where you can just sit them on top of them. And again, it just makes your life easier. So that's where we're at. He's even got the original Mark V slip mats, and they're in lovely condition. They really are. But like I say, everything on these, there wasn't anything, excuse me, there wasn't really anything at all that I could fault. I mean, they were spinning around as expected. The pitch needed slight calibration because the zero position was actually moving where it shouldn't be. And the thing with Mark Vs and M3Ds are exactly the same in terms of the pitch. When you calibrate these decks in particular, the zero position. Now, if you're using a pair of Mark IIs, you can move this wherever you want. But when you move it back to zero, obviously it locks. There's a physical lock at zero, and you have the ball bearing and spring, otherwise known as the click. Okay, that's what the click does. It's a ball bearing and spring. When it goes over that set point, there's a hole in the side of the housing. The spring pushes the ball bearing into the housing, makes that really iconic click noise. And that's what happens, and it obviously locks it in, but there's a lock on the board. So when you calibrate the Mark II turntables, you could literally get hold of the potentiometer, turn it all the way to the right or the left, and no matter where you are on that range, the minute you're at zero, it will lock, as long as the sliders are in fully working order, and there's no other issues. So when you move it away, if you've moved around it all the way to the right, when you move it away, you may find that, well, you will find that the pitch will then, the strobe dots will start to move very fast away because you've obviously adjusted the range, made it bigger or smaller, depending on what way you've obviously moved it. And where I'm getting at is with the Mark Vs and the M3Ds, you really can't touch that at all. You have to set that at the set frequency outlined by the service manual or by Panasonic. There's only one setting for the Mark II, M3D, Mark V, etc. on all of these analog units to manually calibrate the zero position. If you do not set this zero position correctly and move the pitch to zero when you do so, you will find that your zero could be down here, could be up here. It all depends on how far you set it. So 262.08 on the frequency, using the 2 test points, and then move the potentiometer. That's in order to get the perfect zero positioning. So when you turn the deck on and you hit start and stop, your zero, your big strobe dot on here will be static and not moving. If it's moving in any way, shape or form, it will probably highly mean that your potentiometer needs recalibrating, and maybe your slider needs cleaning or replacing, as well as recalibrating too. Now there's only there's only one real setting that the M3D and the Mark V sliders need to be set to, but I'm not going to go into that obviously. But a lot of people are setting these wrong. And the same thing goes for people with Mark IIs. You tend to find that people with Mark IIs are still setting things to the old service manual standard, which has been since the 70s, and they never updated this. So if you're still setting your pitch controls to the earlier setting and you're using original slider units, you really need to stop and rethink and wonder why things aren't functioning correctly. So this is set correctly. This is set correctly. The potentiometers have been set correctly on the main board. Everything is running exactly as you would expect and obviously how you'd want. Brake has been calibrated on these, so they both start and stop at exactly the same time. The Mark V has the facility where you can literally just lift the platter off, move the hole for the thumb lifts over the top of here. You might be able to make this out on the camera. I don't know if we can or not. No, it's not going to do it because the dust covers on it. In fact, there you go. See where it says brake? There's a little hole next to that. You can pop your screwdriver in there and you can actually calibrate the brake to however you want it. So you can have it so you start and stop the deck and it'll move slowly. When you hit the brake, it'll keep moving, or you can have it so it spins backwards slightly. It's not a very good idea to have them on full. That can cause issues. And if you don't keep on top of the potentiometers and keep them clean, then you might run into even more issues. And even worse, if it breaks off, you're going to be in a world of pain trying to replace it. It's an easy job replacing it if you've got the right tools. But it's one thing I have to do regularly. But yeah, these have had every issue known to man that could go wrong with them sorted. They are in beautiful working order. They look really nice. It's sort of turned me around a bit in terms of the vinyl wraps. I am now a big fan of this one here. My other half, Kimberly, loves these as well. It's very rare that she takes one look at any turntable I've completed and goes, I love them. Because obviously she hates camouflage and she's not a big fan of psychedelic wraps, but she does like this. She's a very clean, look gorgeous, and she loves them. And she probably wishes that mine at home were like this, but it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen anytime soon. But there we go. I thought I'd just show you this pair. Now they're all completed and ready to rock and roll. And they're going to be picked up in a couple of weeks, I believe. I think my customer's going to Glasgow. So they're going to be sitting here in nice, clean poly bags like these ones here are, to keep them nice and clean. The work checklist is going to be on top of them, and the invoice will be included as well. So everything's all here. And there we go, peeps. So other than that, there is another pair that I can show you actually while you're here as well. But we're going to go through these in another video. So there we go. All right then, guys, let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you like white vinyl wraps on decks? Are you a fan of the white vinyl full stop? Are you like me and just prefer the original colours with the original LEDs with only slight install differences? Do you like just having the pop-ups changed to LED and different cables? I mean, let me know what you think. There we go. Thanks, guys. See you on the next video.